ASIC released information sheet 274 last week, which is an update of its guidance regarding the provision of financial advice for SMSFs. Peter Burgess from the SMSF Association is with me today to discuss some of the key points of this guidance. Hi, Peter, welcome, and thanks for joining me.
Hello, Darren. It's a pleasure to be here.
So what were some of the key takeaway points from Info 274?
Yeah, so the big headline, of course, was the removal of that $500,000 threshold that ASIC has previously referred to in their guidance notes, and that's understandable. That was, one of the big ticket items, I guess. We were very pleased to see references to the $500,000 threshold removed, based on the information that we have and all the research that we have available to us. It was clearly not the right threshold. The point at which an SMSF, achieves critical mass is much lower than that. So we were quite pleased to see that removal of the $500,000 threshold is something that we've been advocating for some time. I think, from our perspective, probably even more important than that was this the focus on professional judgment, and that came out very loud and clear out of the new guidance that ASIC have now put out there, that the need for advisors to use their professional judgment when determining whether an SMSF is suitable for the client. And I think it's also important to note that they have now included a new paragraph in their guidance talking about the need for advisors to have specialist knowledge around self-managed super funds before they give advice about self-managed super funds, but not only before they give advice, but also they need to maintain that specialist knowledge around self-managed super funds. So, you can join the dots there. Yes, a focus on using professional judgment, but also making sure that you have the competencies so that you are using that professional judgment appropriately. So I think, that was really a key takeaway that we got out of that info guide.
To that point, when you were talking about the $500,000 minimum establishment balance that they previously recommended, they've gone in the other direction and there's no actual minimum balance reference anymore. Is that a step too far, do you think?
Yeah, look, if you look at the University of Adelaide research, it was very clear on the point that there is a relationship between fund balance and performance. So it's perfectly acceptable for the regulator to be focusing on that there is a relationship between performance and fund balance. So, and if you look at that research, it very clearly showed that if you have less than $200,000, your performance is going to be compromised. So we think it is important for advisors to be aware of that threshold. It is still, an important threshold in our view, the 200,000. If you've got less than that, then it's very clear that what the research showed is that your performance will be compromised. And I think we need to remember that this was not just research done on a few hundred self-managed super funds or a few thousand self-managed super funds. It was research done on 318,000 self-managed super funds, so more than 50% of the entire population. And when universities studied the performance of those funds and looked at their balances, as I said, very clear that once you've got that 200,000, so between 200 and 500, the performance was very similar. So, and then from 500, it was very similar. But what they did find, at less than $200,000, your performance is compromised. So we would have liked to see some, something about that in the guidance from ASIC, just to alert advisors to the fact, well, yes, use your professional judgment, but be aware that if you've got less than 200,000, the performance is likely to be compromised.
So you would have preferred a specific reference to that, I suppose, almost as a safety net to say that there is a defined figure from research, based on research, that you could use as a reference?
Yeah, absolutely. We would have preferred to see the 200 in there, as I said, as that safety net, because, the research was, again, very clear on that there is a relationship between fund size and performance, and we can't lose sight of that. So $200,000 we thought, the research clearly shows is an appropriate threshold.
And of course, the $200,000 also is significant for the cost effectiveness too. So it's I suppose a double argument to actually include that figure.
Yeah, that's right. So that was based on research from Rice Warner done back in 2020, which found that SMSF said, that $200,000 mark were as cost effective as what some of the upper funds were. So again, that was considered to be an appropriate threshold.
Now, Peter, it's that time of year where we start to look forward to the SMSF Association National Conference for 2023. What are some of the major highlights on the program that delegates can look forward to?
Yeah, look, I think as usual, the depth and breadth of the technical program. We've got 21 60-minute sessions and 5 workshops, technical workshops over 2.5 days. So we'll be covering a wide range of technical issues, things like estate planning, pensions, contribution strategies, death benefits will all be covered in some detail. So very, very strong technical program. We have an outstanding lineup of technical speakers. I think in addition to that, for the 2023 National Conference, we'll have a very strong advice and practice stream. It's an outstanding lineup of speakers in that particular stream as well. So aside from a very strong technical focus of our conference, we've also got that very strong technical advice, or the advice and practice stream as well. So that's something to look out for. I think also our networking. So we have some very good events on at the end of day 1 and end of day 2. So networking events. We have our final day lunch. So it's an opportunity to spend some time with your peers in the industry. And and that's really the benefits of attending face-to-face conferences. It's not just what you take away from the sessions that you attend, but it's also being able to compare notes with your colleagues. And one thing that I really noticed at the April National Conference that we ran in 2022 was just the conversations that were happening as I walked around the expo, and joining in on some of those conversations with peers, and talking about what they're doing in their practice, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and talking about what they learned in the sessions, and again amongst their peers, talking about what's important to them. So that's the real benefit and the real power, I think, of attending face-to-face conferences. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Now, this is a very special conference, actually, because it's actually the 20th anniversary of the event. So are there any sort of other special things to mark that milestone that attendees can look forward to, Peter?
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right, Darren. 2023 is our 20-year anniversary. So 20 years since the association was formed. We have a lot of events planned for 2023. We will kick off our celebrations at the National Conference. So we'll certainly be having more to say about that throughout 2023. But, we'll be celebrating the association and, the success and the influence, I guess, that we've had over the sector. We'll be putting on some very special events in 2023. So watch out for those.
Well, that's fantastic, Peter. Thank you for sharing those insights with me today. The SMSF Association National Conference for 2023 will be held in Melbourne between the 22nd and the 24th of February. To register for the event, please refer to the details that you can see on screen now. Look, thanks again, Peter, for giving us your time today. And I really look forward to seeing you in Melbourne next February for the 20th anniversary of the National Conference.
Peter, pleasure, Darren. See you in Melbourne.